You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mikey O'Shea, the Irish Juggernaut, and you're watching Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Welcome back to the new sounding Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com and YouTube. It's James Walsh, sounding a little bit more clear than I did a few weeks ago. And we're going to bring you two fantastic interviews this week. First of all, we have Leonard Rosen, who was the announcer for Polynesian Pacific Championship Wrestling, PPCW, in Hawaii. And he shed some light on that territory, which there's been some posts online. There's been some history lessons attempted to be given by the fans as to how that promotion was run. So we thought it'd be cool to kind of get the real story from a guy who was there and saw it go down. So we got a really cool stories from him, and we also have a guy who was just on SmackDown a few weeks ago. The Irish Juggernaut Mikey O'Shea from Paragon Pro Wrestling joins us, and it's not his first time joining us. He called us as a fan 11 years ago, back when we were on the Blaze, 1260 AM, when I sounded then much like I sound now. So I hope you guys enjoy these two interviews. The same post-show is on both broadcasts, so I think you guys will enjoy it. And, man, looking forward to people enjoying these two interviews. They're both ones that I'm proud of, and I think you all, wrestling historians, will enjoy them. Check it out. Stay locked right here at WrestlingEpicenter.com, and if you haven't already done so, check out our archives. Our archives have 442 prior interviews. So, man, enjoy. Thank you again for tuning in. I can't tell you how much I enjoy doing these shows, and I hope you guys enjoy still listening to them.
This is Alex Chamberlain, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with us now, for the first time in 11 years, is the Juggernaut, Mikey O'Shea. Mr. O'Shea, are you with me?
Yes, sir. Mikey O'Shea in the house.
Mikey O'Shea in the house. And we were talking a little off air, and it's kind of cool. I mentioned that you joined us 11 years ago. You go back with us all the way to the days of the Blaze 1260 AM when I was on ASU's college radio station. So that's very cool that a guy that called in as a fan is the guy who I'm interviewing because he just was on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm not under contract yet or anything, but I've been wrestling now for almost 7 years, come September 26th, and I've had the pleasure to meet WWE a bunch of times in the past. Yeah, hopefully something happens as long as I keep working hard and drop some more weight. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Very cool. It's always weird for me, and we have a couple of guests on this week, and you're the second one who is a guest this week that was a fan of our site, and I actually saw the link you posted. I was like, I used to always read this page and listen to their show, and now I'm a headline on it, and I can't tell you how much that means, man. That lightens up my day.
Yeah, man. I whenever I feel like checking out wrestling headlines. Like ever since I saw your website, I would go on there like once every other day and check out, see if anything is interesting. And I always trust your guys' word. I mean, dirt sheets are 50-50, but I always been going on your side ever since I first listened to your first no, not your first, but like ever since I listened to you guys 11 years ago. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, we got a lot of questions for you here tonight, and I guess the first question, we kind of already touched on it, but I'm going to ask you, how life reassuring was it for you to get the opportunity to appear on a recent episode of SmackDown on August the 9th in a, well, not a successful effort, but an effort nonetheless against American Alpha?
Well, it actually feels, well, first off, it feels like an honor to finally, be on national television and wrestling, even if it's just for just 1 minute, and I get my ass kicked the entire time. It was still a real pleasure to be on that TV show. It kind of comes to a full circle. Reason being is that was the 7th time I worked for WWE. 6 out of the 7, I've done extras for them in the past. The first time you could see me on TV was actually 2013 in August when CM Punk beat Curtis Axel, and he got Paul Heyman for 5 minutes, and security guards dragged him from the back into the ring. I was one of those security guards. The second time, I was a Rosebud for Adam Rose when he took on Curtis Axel at Superstar and Main Event. I was dressed up in a Nacho Libre outfit with a gold hat, and it was like the tightest damn outfit I ever had in my life. It was squeezing my nuts so hard, but it was so fun to be out there and just be surrounded by everybody in the arena. But then the third time was actually this past February when Goldust and R-Truth did a little segment backstage at a restaurant, and Goldust accidentally dropped champagne at R-Truth's girlfriend at the time. You see a big guy in the back drop his silverware and go, wow. But the first time I ever worked for them was the day after SummerSlam 2012. I was given the opportunity to be part of a 3-day boot camp they had out here in California. It was pretty much right before Performance Center opened up. And I had the pleasure to train for 3 straight days with William Regal, Jim Ross, Mark Henry, Briscoe, Scott Armstrong. And when I got there was 30 of us. There was 24 guys, 6 girls. So when I got there, I was probably the worst shaped guy there, and I'm not going to deny that. At the time, I was probably around 350 plus pounds. When I got there, I'm like, you know what? These guys hired me to be that one guy that can't keep up with everybody, just like on Tough Enough. So I made sure to keep up with everybody. And not only did I keep up with everybody, I survived both days with the cuts, and I've been on the radar ever since. Like I'm not one of the people that are looking to sign right now, obviously because of my weight, but they know that I'm there to mean business. So I'm 29 years old now, so I'm at that do or die situation right now. Like, I know people get hired in their 30s still, but I want to get hired not in my mid-30s. I want to because every time I'm backstage at WWE, I wish I was there full time. And it's a pleasure to be backstage.
What's the backstage environment
and I really want to be part of it one day. So, I'm sorry?
The backstage environment. What's the backstage environment like for a talent who's not necessarily signed to the roster, but is able to be back there with all the quote superstars?
Well, when you're a male extra, you gotta take the bad with the good. You're there in case they need somebody for the show, whether it's a security guard or an ambulance driver or something like that, or if you actually have the pleasure to actually go out there and get your ass kicked by one of their main superstars. So your relevance is, you being there is not really sunshine and rainbows, but you'll meet a lot of great people, and you'll meet a lot of people that won't give a crap about you. So what I do is when I go back there, whenever someone walks by me, I look at them, and if they look at me, I nod my head, and that normally leads to a discussion, or they'll shake my hand and say hi. But I never go up to anybody and shake their hand and introduce myself. Reason being, there is a lot of prima donnas, and they really don't understand how to act like a human sometimes. And the last thing I need right now is to never get an opportunity based off I just went up to you and wanted to shake your hand and introduce myself. Yeah, so that's what I'll say.
Awesome. Well, as you could tell, you do have some opinions, and you actually were a caller in on our show many years ago, as we mentioned, and you also did your own YouTube channel. And I get the feeling from comments you make that maybe you wish you weren't as open as you were back then. Is there anything that you said back when you did the YouTube channel that you kind of regret or have lived to regret since then?
I mean, I didn't say anything like super offensive, like racist or homophobic or something like that. I've had before I trained in wrestling, I always thought wrestling was an open book, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When I did the YouTube channel, it was fun. I mostly did it from like 2007 through 2009, right before my very first match. And when I trained in professional wrestling, I trained for 15 months before I had my first match. And it was a slow process, but eventually I learned, hey, you know what? If you want to make it into this business, you got to shut your mouth and open your ears. And sometimes it's best to keep your opinions to yourself, but like, I'm not going to deny the fact I had fun when I was young and, being silly. Like, people can live and learn, and that's what I did. I've lived, I've learned. And yeah, my YouTube channel was pretty well, it wasn't like super popular, but like before I gave it up and just uploaded my wrestling matches from now on, I was like around 6,000 subscribers. I was averaging like 2,000 to 4,000 views a vid, and I was having a good time. But wrestling was what I wanted to do when I was a little kid, and unfortunately, I had to sacrifice that so I can, live my life as a professional wrestler. And I haven't looked back since. As far as me saying anything that might be regretful, I was young and naive. People go through that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of wrestlers that are hired in WWE to this day have done some very stupid things. For example, like, Seth Rollins, like, sending a picture of his penis to his ex-girlfriend when she was in NXT or something like that, and accidentally sent it to his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or something like that. So, yeah, people make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
But they can learn from them, and I don't regret what I've done in the past.
There you go. I love it. Well, let me ask you a little bit about your wrestling character. First of all, where were you trained, and who trained you?
Well, I trained in 3 different schools. The very first school I ever trained in was actually called Paragon Pro Wrestling, and it was run by a guy named Foob Dog. Foob Dog is my first ever trainer. Love him to death. He really helped me out, learn the basics of professional wrestling. The second school was Mach 1 Pro Wrestling, MACH 1 Pro Wrestling. It was a school from like 2009 to 2011, and it was run by mostly Joey Ryan,
Okay.
and sometimes Johnny Goodtime, also now known as Kevin Maderson. I keep getting his last name incorrect, but and sometimes even T.J. Perkins and Candice LeRae would come down and work us out. So I pretty much learned how to be agile with my size thanks to them. But the one school that really helped me out when it came to psychology of professional wrestling is from this famous tag team in California called the Ballard Brothers. They were a Canadian tag team who really helped out a lot of wrestlers to this day of learning how to tell a story in the ring. If it wasn't for the Ballard Brothers, I probably would have never made it to where I am today, because they really know how to help you tell a story in the ring.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I guess the next question is the Mikey O'Shea character. Kind of reminds me of the story of Hulk Hogan. The name of Hulk Hogan actually was supposed to be an Irish-American wrestler, and apparently he didn't want to dye his. Obviously, I think there's more legitimacy to your Irishness. Am I correct?
Yes, I am. Like, I'm more Italian than I am Irish, but I really love my Irish side.
All right.
And it was a pleasure to, use that as my gimmick because, like, my mother's side is Italian, my father's side is Irish. So, I really grown to love my Irish heritage more than my Italian heritage. And when I first started off in wrestling, my wrestling name was actually Mikey Callahan.
Callahan, correct.
And we took Callahan from Tommy Boy because Chris Farley was my favorite. Yeah, Tommy Boy was Chris Farley was my favorite comedian of all time. So the first year in professional wrestling, I was Mikey Callahan. And then when Championship Wrestling from Hollywood finally came to reality in August of 2010, at first they actually did have a women's division. And one of the women that they had was named Mikey O'Shea. So at the time, all I was doing since the very beginning was helping out with ring crew, wondering when I'm going to finally get my opportunity to be on television. And then when we were backstage one day waiting for the show to start, Mikey O'Shea went next to me, put her elbow on my shoulder, looked at Adam Pearce and Joey Ryan and said, "Hey, what if I make this guy my little brother?" Ding.
Boom.
That's when I became Mikey O'Shea.
Perfect. And that worked. Oh, man. That's a great gimmick, though. I can see you trying to say into the camera something along the lines of, we make car parts for the common man because that's who we are and that's who we care about. But I love the name, though. That's a perfect name.
Yeah.
Mikey O'Shea. Well, I love it. What do you think about when the crowd starts chanting, the strange chants the crowd comes up with? One that caught my eye was the soccer chant, the O'Shea, 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 O'Shea. What do you think of things like that as a wrestler?
I think that's I'm really thankful for fans to actually think of me that way. I don't want El Generico or Sami Zayn to be pissed at me about that, but I really love it when they chant my name like that. It started happening like around 2012 when at the time I was a heel, but then the fans really started enjoying me beating the crap out of everybody and power bombing everybody on apron, so they started chanting my name, and so it's been like going on ever since. The one regret I haven't done yet is make a T-shirt out of it, which I should. But if you go out there in professional wrestling, and if you're not getting loved or hated, and you go out there and it's absolutely quiet, there is something wrong that you need to fix.
Right.
So going out there and getting a reaction out of them means that what I'm doing in there is appreciated. So very thankful for them to sing my name every time I go out there.
Perfect. All right. So I check you out on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I was excited when you first made your appearance on Paragon Pro Wrestling. You probably know, if you follow the site, that I do enjoy Paragon Pro Wrestling. I could see that you're not there as much anymore, though. What was your thoughts on Paragon, and what do you think of them currently?
Oh, it's a, you know what? I really love what we're doing over there. There's so many talent. There's so much talent over there that, they either not had a real opportunity in WWE, TNA, or Ring of Honor or whatnot yet, or you see a bunch of new talent you've never seen before. And I love and the production crew, they are absolutely amazing to us. Not only do they make us look magical on the camera, but they also really help us, improve our characters, improve our wrestling backstage, and they really look out for us, man, which is something you don't see nowadays. They actually care about you, and they actually want you to succeed. They actually want you to evolve. As far as me, I was away for a month because Darren Corbin beat the crap out of me with a chair, and then the episode last month I made my return, and then this episode that you can check out now at the Fight app, episode 62 of Paragon, I just had my return match. So yeah,
oh, you are back.
Paragon,
Awesome.
and I'm actually going to be. Yeah, I made my epic return at the very end of episode 61. So, and then I took on then I had a match this recent episode. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I didn't know that you were back, but I'm glad you are. I'm a little behind on it. I can't catch it as easily as I could back when it was on Pop, but I'm glad that they got the Fight app. It really seems to be on It really seems to be on the cusp of technology, and there's a lot more people than you'd imagine that watch that show.
Yeah, the Fight app is absolutely amazing. It's such a lifesaver. I love that you have a variety of wrestling shows like Paragon, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, TNA. A sister company I work for in Oregon, West Coast Wrestling Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much wrestling and MMA and boxing on that Fight app. It's such an amazing it's such an advantage for the wrestling fan in general.
Absolutely, and I mean, 21st century technology is making it easier to get wrestling. We don't have to, trade away for tapes anymore. We can find it a lot more easily than that.
Oh yeah, dude, I got like tapes of Raw and SmackDown from like 2000 to 2006. I got tired of it. I couldn't do it no more.
Awesome. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about TNA for old time's sake? What do you think about?
I'm glad that they're still alive.
Yeah, me too. What do you think about what's going on there, and the fact that today's news is apparently Dixie Carter's pretty much out of the picture, and now they're going to be run the guy from the Smashing Pumpkins.
You know what? Whatever makes that company, whatever makes the morale for the guys and girls in the back and for the fans, whatever makes them more happier and tune in even more, the better. To this day I still watch TNA, and don't get me wrong, if given the opportunity, of course I would do it myself. But it was just a sad time in 2013 because they lost so much of their home talent. Like, AJ Styles leaving TNA, to me, is like if The Undertaker quit WWE the way AJ Styles did. It was just a heartbreaker because that was like their heart and soul right there, because AJ Styles was their master key.
Yeah, he was their franchise player,
it was like,
right?
Man, that was a big loss right there. Like, the main reason why I started watching TNA was because of Christopher Daniels. I love that guy to death. He is such an amazing talent, and if there's anybody that I'd like to see be a coach in NXT one day, it would be him, because the fact that he can still go to this day after everything he put himself through is astounding. Because that guy, he's hurt all the time, obviously. But as far as TNA goes, as much as I kind of felt a little jealous that they kind of took pop from us, like WWE took TNN from ECW.
Bingo. That's the comparison I made 100 times, man.
100 times, man. Right? But I do not wish for any company to ever go out of business, especially TNA, because it's always a great alternative of wrestling. And the more companies out there, the more better for the wrestlers to get an opportunity, and the more fans to enjoy more wrestling. So I really hope, despite the fact that they took a major loss in 2013, 2014, I hope they get back on their feet, and I hope they become what I loved about them back in 2005 and 2006 and all that when I first started watching.
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess my question would be, do you want to ever end up in TNA, or is your heart set on WWE?
I definitely wouldn't mind giving TNA a shot. Especially since I got what they're doing with Eli Drake. I'm not close friends with him, but in the past he's wrestled for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as Sean Ricker. What they're doing with him is I love what they're doing with him. They're giving him the mic, they're letting him be himself, and the fans are loving him to death. And that's what I appreciate about TNA. They're giving people an opportunity to show what they're worth. And Eli Drake is doing a phenomenal job out there. And like I said, if TNA gives me the opportunity, of course I would take it, because who wouldn't?
Right.
But
even
yeah,
Paragon's
I would love to see
Caleb Conley went there. So I mean, you got a little bit of a line in there. They got guys from Paragon who have gone on to TNA.
He has gone on to TNA, but he's not on TNA enough, because Caleb Conley is like our Chris Jericho of Paragon Pro Wrestling. He's amazing talent, and they got him on paper. They should start using him better, in my honest opinion, because Caleb Conley Caleb Conley deserves to be on Pop TV with them. But so far I haven't seen him on TV yet. Besides the one night stand. Is it one night only? There we go. Yeah.
One night only pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, and another guy I haven't seen, assuming he's still working for them. My cousin, freaking Aiden O'Shea. Like, what the hell, man? He should be on there too, but like I haven't seen him on yet. Only on like that Battle Royal, Bound for Glory last year. I was like telling him like
they brought him in. They brought him in, and they kind of were like, okay, we're gonna push this guy, and then that was it.
Right. They probably saw his cousin on Paragon Pro Wrestling. Like, oh, nah, sorry, Aiden. But yeah, if Aiden, if you need a tag partner in TNA, you talk to me, bro. You got me on Twitter. I talked to you in the past. Okay, so let's make some money.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you about another guy from California who just got big money. He just won the WWE Universal Championship, Kevin Owens, who also doesn't have the typical cookie-cutter WWE superstar look. What do you think of Kevin Owens ending up as the main guy on the Raw brand as their world champion?
I never knew him personally. I've ran into him a couple of times. He's always been nice to me. Very, 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 very proud of him. Always appreciated his work in the ring whenever I watched him. And I like the fact that WWE is kind of like stepping back from the bodybuilding looking type, and they're actually giving people who don't like have like the Hulk Hogan style look, but when they go in that ring, when they go through that curtain, the fans are behind them like crazy. I kid you not. Every time I go to a WWE live event and I see Kevin Owens go through that curtain, the fans are crazy because he brings that presence. And he doesn't have to have veins popping out of his arms. He doesn't have to have a six-pack. He just goes in there, kicks somebody's ass, and proves why he belongs in that business. And for him to be the WWE Universal Champion, couldn't be prouder.
What do you think of Vince Russo saying recently that David Arquette, when he was world champion, is more over than Kevin Owens is?
I did not hear that, but that's I think he's just trying to get attention by talking shit.
Pretty much. All right, final question for you before I start to let you go. What is your opinion currently, the way that you got an opportunity in a match in WWE, of the WWE starting to use local talent and bringing back the concept of the old school squash match? You think that's a good thing for the style of the program that they run?
Yes. I mean, like, it's always nice to, I mean, like, I used to, like, when I was a kid, I used to, like, stay up until, like, 2 o'clock in the morning to watch WWF Jack to see a bunch of, mid-carders and low-carders take on a bunch of local talents, and it was always fun to watch those kind of matches. Like, remembering watching, like, Samoa Joe and Low Key, and even, like, AJ Styles one time. Yeah, he took on Hurricane Helms.
That's right.
But this is not me being biased because I was on it, but I love the fact that they're giving people an opportunity to go on national television and show what they're worth. I'm sad that me and my partner didn't get a chance to talk, but I just watched SmackDown recently, and there was this guy, the Milkman. I think that's what he called himself. Yeah. I thought that guy was hilarious. The way he went in that ring and just cut a promo, I thought he was absolutely hysterical. But I just love that they're opening it up, because like if this was back in the mid or like early 2000s, they probably would have never let me use my Mikey O'Shea name. They probably would have let me just like be the most like a random name never heard before. But I like that they're starting to open up to like local talents, and like I like the fact that they're not calling AJ Styles like Phillip Brooks or something like that. Like I like that they're calling him AJ Styles. I like that they're
You know what? The fact you said that, though, they might rename him, because that would just piss off CM Punk so badly that they would just do it just to piss him off.
Oh, God. Kind of too late at this point, but yeah. I like that they're finally starting to open up again and not trying to, like, if they let people that were very popular internationally and not in WWE before they got signed, if they let them be themselves when they go to WWE, they'll make more money, in my honest opinion, than they would if they tried to recreate their character when they got signed to WWE.
Right. Austin Aries is still Austin Aries. Bobby Roode still Bobby Roode. They're not renaming everybody like they used to.
Oh my God. Glorious. It's glorious.
All right, man. Well, I was so excited to see you when you appeared on SmackDown. I honestly did not remember that you were the guy who used to call us back on the Blaze days. So it's an honor to have you on. You kind of make me feel old. I'll bring up Hulk Hogan again. He cut a promo on a Hulkamania 4 videotape, and he said something about when the Hulkamaniacs grow up and wrestle him, he'll beat them too. And I'm thinking, well, this guy was a fan listening to me back in the day, and now I'm interviewing him because he's light years above me. So you're the man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I mean, when if wrestlers succeed in this business, and I've seen a lot of people go that were rookies when they met me, and they've gone off and did better things than I did. And I see that, when they're rookies, they'll come up to you, they'll shake your hand, they'll be grateful, they'll be humble. And then I've seen the same people a year later who became so popular and so successful. When they go past me and I try to shake their hand, they just look at me and go, "Hey, what's up?" and walk away without shaking my hand. Come on, man, just be humble and be grateful for what you got. Because no matter what happens in this business, I'm still gonna shake your hand. I'm still gonna treat you like a human being. I can never do the whole I'm better than everybody crap. But yeah, I don't even know why we're getting off topic here. James,
yes,
thank
sir.
you so much for interviewing me too, man. It was a real pleasure to finally be able to do this with you. It comes to a full circle, man, because let's face it, you guys were the first ever wrestling podcast I heard back in the day. So I can't thank you enough for that, man. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to join me tonight.
This is Drew Donovan, and you're in the Epicenter.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. We probably sound a little different right now. It's James Walsh, joined as always by Patrick Kelly. Patrick, are you there?
I am here, James.
All right. Yeah, we're trying to update our sound a little bit, make us sound a little bit better, and by doing so, we have microphones instead of telephones this time, so hopefully everybody enjoys the crisper, clearer sound.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's time to join the 2010s,
The 2010s, yeah. We'll step gingerly into the 21st century. Maybe, I did listen to myself, though, because I recorded this very way, our interview with Mikey O'Shea, and it's really weird to hear myself on a full-scale microphone again, because it's the first time since I was on the Blaze that I have. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, crap, this sounds like 2005.
Oh, wow.
All right. So, anyway, here's Patrick Kelly. Patrick, how have you been doing since we last recorded something?
Oh, tired. Started a new job, and that's a completely different schedule. So the commute's a lot different from what I was doing before. So I've been largely unavailable for things like this.
Yeah. Well, I started a new job, too. Again, not by choice. But I'm happy with it. So we both work in different places than we were before. The word delete has forever been altered by Matt Hardy. What else has changed since we did this? And apparently wrestlers are agreeing to get their heads busted in for a lifetime job.
Apparently, yeah.
What did you think of that? We talked about that. This is the recap show. I'm putting it on the same show with Sonny Ross from Polynesian Pacific Championship Wrestling and also Mikey O'Shea, who recently worked a match on SmackDown. Thank you to both of those guys for joining us. We talked a little bit about the match with Sonny Ross, who has a viewpoint and an experience in MMA. What did you think of the weird SummerSlam main event with Brock and Orton?
It went about, some people thought it was a shoot. I know there was the whole situation with Chris Jericho where he flipped out, apparently thinking that Brock just shot on Orton. I've always had the mindset, if it happened on TV, just assume it was a work until you hear otherwise. So I just assumed it was a work, even if it was a little different from what you normally see. I wasn't bothered by it because one of the things that they've managed to do with Brock, and it's definitely because of his MMA background and everything, but they tried to do different things with him rather than the typical formulaic wrestling thing. I wish they would apply that type of stuff to a lot of other guys, so the show would feel less formulaic and less paint by numbers. But I wasn't that bothered by it overall. I don't know how they got Orton to agree to do it, but it was interesting to say the least.
From what I understand, they promised him a job for life. Either that, or they're scared about all these lawsuits that are coming up about concussions. But apparently he's going to be set for life because he got his head knocked in by Brock Lesnar. And, Randy Orton's on like strike 2 3/4 in terms of wellness violations. It's like there's strike 1, strike 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. I mean, he can't really strike out, but he cemented his position by allowing him to get busted open the hard way by a guy who can, quote, safely do that to you. Your head is not a can of beans. You can't safely open it. It just doesn't happen.
I'm just, again, coming from a place of a guy who's never been trained in MMA or pro wrestling, I'm going to assume that Brock knows more about that than, say, you or I. Like, you and I could probably, you asked us to bust open somebody's head, we would just straight up just go 100% and bust their head open. Brock probably knows how to do that without completely giving Orton a concussion, because Orton apparently wasn't concussed. He's still on TV and everything, so he's fine. But, I don't know. It's really strange.
It's strange. It is strange. And
I mean, pro wrestling is a weird business. Let's just get that out of the way right off the bat.
Wrestling's a weird business, but I don't know that I like this whole business of the worked shoot in this regard, because it's not because it works the internet. I don't give a crap about that. If anything, I actually get my rocks off if they work on the internet crowd who seem to want to pretend they know it all. Yes, I fully realize I'm part of that. But I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. I thought the match sucked, and I mean, I hearken back to what Stephanie McMahon had said. She had mentioned in a pre-network interview that sometimes in MMA you pay big money for a match that lasts 20 seconds and is one-sided. Well, that just happened at SummerSlam. It wasn't 20 seconds, but it was one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Wrestling's a work. You're supposed to get your money's worth, and I don't think that the main event should. If they were going to do that, that shouldn't have been the main event.
Oh man, but yeah, they do that a lot with Brock's matches, and we're getting to a point now where, okay, when is somebody going to beat Brock? Like you got to start thinking it's like, okay, you're going to cash in your chips, right? Because they got Brock to a level where he's viewed as this unbeatable monster, and that's good. But where's the payoff? And I'm not saying Orton should be the guy, but who is going to be the guy?
I don't want it to be Goldberg.
No, neither do I. No.
I'm cool with Goldberg. Don't get me wrong, but they shouldn't be putting a 50-year-old guy in there and say, "Hey, this is the unstoppable monster." I mean, let's be real.
Oh no. I think Goldberg. At this point, Goldberg should be a nostalgia guy, if anything. I wouldn't.
They can have him work with Seth Rollins and get retired.
Oh, Seth. Yeah, I guess do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's talk about that. The next topic is Bret Hart, amongst others, has come out and said that Seth Rollins is a reckless worker. And if you really look at the facts, you might have a hard time disagreeing with him.
Well, he worked with Sting and basically retired Sting, and he worked with Finn Balor and put their new champion on the shelf for 6 months. Now, both of those cases were done with the exact same move, which is also very interesting. I'm surprised the WWE hasn't outlawed the buckle bomb yet, but that's an unfortunate series of casualties to have happen under your watch while you're working with the guy.
The weird thing is they banned the curb stomp.
Yes, and nobody got hurt doing it.
Exactly. As far as I know, nobody got hurt doing that move. Yet 2 people have been very seriously injured. One retired. Granted, he was at the end of his career anyway.
And shouldn't be taking a buckle bomb at that point anyway, but yeah.
No, he shouldn't. And that's because Sting's crazy. And you also forgot to mention the John Cena injury. Granted, it was not from the buckle bomb, but he took a full-blown knee to the face from Seth Rollins and busted his nose. And the bottom line is, you'd have a hard time convincing me to get in the ring with Seth Rollins in the pay-per-view main event and that I'm not going to get injured. You'd have a hard time making me believe that. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how he does going forward, but that's 3. I mean, we're talking about strikes are out with Randy Orton and his wellness policies, but that's 3 strikes. He should be reduced until he can do these things. And they have to start looking at these moves. You know, what's the reason that guys can't do pile drivers anymore? Because they're dangerous.
And apparently nobody knows how to do it. I remember listening to Lance Storm on an interview, and he said, look, put me in the ring with Finlay. I'll take 100 pile drivers from him because he knows what he's doing. And I know I'll be safe. A bunch of other guys, not the same.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder this question. Even on an indie show, Lawler doesn't do a pile driver. His finisher now is apparently a fist drop off the middle rope. Now,
he still works?
Yes, Lawler still works. Heart attack and all, Lawler still gets in the ring. In fact, he's getting in the ring next week against Jeff Jarrett in a Memphis Legends show.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's the second time this week somebody said, he's still working? When I mentioned Jerry Lawler. So,
Jesus Christ. Well, if WWE's not going to have you work, got to do it somewhere, I guess.
Well, he gets paid handsomely for his indie shows, from what I understand. He gets paid pretty well.
Yeah. Well, he's
still the king. He's not in good shape, but he's still the king. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like Fat Elvis in Las Vegas, but it's still the king.
Wow.
Like,
interesting.
Elvis walked up to Alice Cooper once in the 70s when he was in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Elvis had one of those karate things, and he dropped it, and it put a hole in his foot. It put a hole in Elvis's foot. And Alice Cooper's looking at his foot and then looks up at him and Elvis is still talking to him like everything's okay. And he says, dude, your foot. And Elvis was on so many drugs at the time, he didn't even notice that he just put a hole in his foot. We're a little off topic, though.
That sounds about right. By the way, if you're interested in more about Elvis's history, or if you're an Elvis fan or anything, I highly recommend the movie Bubba Hotep. It's hilarious. Go check it out.
All right. It is. It sounds hysterical. Okay, so we're going to wrap up after this last thing. And that last thing that we're going to talk about is TNA Impact Wrestling going through a lot of changes. Billy Corgan seems to have assumed the role of the guy in charge of TNA.
Yeah, he's the president of the company now, and you got to wonder, is Dixie Carter slowly being phased out?
I don't think so slowly. I think she's pretty much being phased out. The thing about that scares me, and I'll say this, and I've said this online, and I'll say it here, for all her flaws, and Dixie's got a lot of flaws, she's kept the company going when it probably has no right to be going, considering some of the mistakes and numbers that they've hit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hello?
So, I mean, Billy Corgan, if he is going to be in charge of it, I expect it's kind of like in politics when you do your convention, you get an immediate bump. I expect the interest will go up to see what he does with it differently than Dixie when he actually has full control. With that said, though, I wonder how much it's going to subside after the initial curiosity factor, and if he's going to have the drive and the wherewithal to keep it going when that initial, hey, let's see what they're about, goes away. Because Dixie has done that, despite their multiple valleys, and there's been a lot of peaks and a lot of really low valleys.
Oh, God, yes, sir.
All right. Well, hope everybody enjoys these interviews. We have two of them here. We have Sonny Ross and Mikey O'Shea. I hope everybody enjoys them. We got a couple oars in the fire from other guests, I should say, coming up soon. And, Pat, I really enjoyed getting back together with you, talking a little bit about the headlines, and also trying to make it sound a little bit better.
All right, yeah, so far so good, right?
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Labor Day, everybody, and we'll see you soon right here at Interactive Wrestling Radio.